Hey, everybody, welcome to installment number 4 of Illuminating Stories from the Market. In our fourth installment, we're going to go outside of the United States of America. In recent years, the rest of the world, as a stock market, has performed very poorly. So maybe we should just stick with the United States of America. Why bother investing outside of the world? But let's see where the market stories take us. What do they tell us? Here we go. So if we do a side-by-side comparison of the most recent 10 years from 1/1/2010 to 12/31/2019, and we compare the S&P 500 as a proxy for the United States of America. Now, we know really it's not a complete proxy because it doesn't include small stocks and everything. And if we use an all-world index as the rest of the world, and you can see that over the 10-year period, the U.S. Did much better than the rest of the world. So you can see why many people are unhappy with the performance outside of the USA in recent times. But let's kind of look decade by decade. Now, it turns out that the rest of the world didn't do as good of a job as the U.S. as far as recording reliable data on the market. And so reliable international data starts in 1970. So if we now look at the 70s and we look at the S&P 500 versus the rest of the world doubled the return in the 70s. We had a significant, the rest of the world had a significant beat in the 80s. And then in the 90s, the US had a significant beat over the rest of the world. In the zeros, the 2000s, both did poorly, but at least the rest of the world was positive. So it was about a 3% higher return. And then the data I just showed you, which is that in the last 10 years, international is not so good. So across the decades, you can't really say for sure how any decade's going to come out. It goes back and forth. And then we can also down here look at 20-year periods. And we go to 20-year periods, the numbers start coming closer together. So if we look at the 20-year period of this 1970 through 99, actually that's 70s, 80s, 90, yeah, 30-year period. It's 13.7 versus 13.1. Then we look at a 20-year period, and it's 6.1 versus 3.9. So the U.S. wins in both cases, but not by a whole lot. And by the way, when you invest outside the USA, you also have currency issues that affect the total return you get. And we're not looking at the currency issues. When the dollar is weak, it benefits your returns here in the U.S. of international investments. So what did we learn in today's session? Well, even though recently the world outside the USA has had less desirable returns, over the course of time, they've performed well. And sometimes the USA outperformed, and sometimes the rest of the world outperformed. So in any one decade, either group could have a higher return. So they complement each other well, and they work well, since they often move in opposite directions. So that was installment number 4. Glad you were here. Look forward to producing number 5 soon, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.